I think to be able to navigate the times we're in today, times of converging crises and new emergences, it's important to be simple at the heart, to stay humble as well.
If you're ever questioning, am I doing the right thing? Am I going in the right direction? Invite yourself to drop into your body and to see how it feels, because the truth will always be revealed within your heart, within that peaceful state of being where you can create infinitely from.
There is a war on attention taking place in this world. It feels like there is so much noise and systems that are collapsing and falling. And fundamentally, it is our intuition that allows us to navigate these dark tides with grace and ease and a really powerful discernment.
Welcome back, dear ones. I want to start by saying thank you for being on this journey with us, the team and the guests that we have here. It's such a full time that we're living in, and so much is coming up to the surface. There is so much to listen to read, to watch, to scroll through. And we so deeply appreciate that you tune in here. Our intention for this podcast is something that is truly soul nourishing and empowering. And I hope that that is what you experience here. Do let us know. This week, I have 3 opportunities to journey together to share, as well as, of course, our members' soul space, of which this next event is on the theme of anchoring our gifts. The first is that I will be hosting an online journey of my course, Reclaim Your Intuition. I have decided to offer it once live so that we can have calls and community and spend this time in a shared experience. We will begin in June, and this will take place over 6 weeks with weekly calls. I have designed this course with rituals that you do for each theme, games to play each week to strengthen your intuition, workshops, and more. It's really designed to give you these tools and skills, and I have made it playful and interactive. If you want to be part of this live journey, it's the only time that the course will run like this. You can find out more details on our events calendar or head to love.allthatweare.org/intuition. This June, we are also hosting our Remembering Retreat in the incredible Forest of Dean. It will be a weekend to reset into presence, transmute some of the energies that are currently working you, and birth a new way of relating to life. It's going to be a weekend of nourishing food, stunning nature, and practices that support beautiful embodiment and giving space for your soul. We'll be staying in a very special venue, the Asha Center, where you can really step into a deep space of rest and rejuvenation. The first night will offer a space of grief and prayer for you to bring any sorrow that you are holding and processing for what you're experiencing in your own life, and also as we watch what's happening around the world, such as in Gaza, Sudan, and the Congo. This really is a time of great change and revelation. And it's so important that we find space to grieve, to process, and then to strengthen into community action. And that is what we'll be doing as part of this Soul's Remembering. Then in early July, I'm hosting a weekend of events in Devon, which is where I spend most of my time these days and over recent years. And I would love to bring together the community of listeners that we have in South Devon, Cornwall, Somerset, all around the southwest of England, as well as those of you that might want to come down for the weekend in order to explore this area of outstanding beauty. Full details are still coming together, but there's going to be a Friday night talk with some special guests, some that you will know already from this podcast and some that will be guests on this podcast very soon. And then on Saturday, we're going to have a day retreat with some beautiful practice, strengthening intuition, opening and closing circles, a chance to really drop in together. These will happen in a riverside venue not far from Totnes. And then on the Sunday, we're going to go on a pilgrimage onto the sacred lands of Dartmoor, which is this incredible national park with wild swimming. We'll bring a picnic, we'll be climbing tours and going through the woods and around a reservoir. It's going to be a beautiful opportunity to share these lands and create ritual and ceremony together. I hope to see you at one or all of these beautiful community happenings. It feels so vital with everything that we are collectively and individually experiencing to come together, to sharpen our inner tools, to break bread, and to laugh and cry together. This circle episode that we are diving into here was created on our last morning together on the same trip to India that the last 3 episodes have come from. We recorded in Auroville in Tamil Nadu, and we did lose our recording of the first half of the podcast as the computer program went into the spinning rainbow death wheel that some of you might know, and then crashed. And luckily, we had a backup. So the sound gets better as we go through the episodes. Some of the first shares will be a little bit quieter, and then the primary microphone gets restored. It's always fun for me to experiment in different ways of hosting this podcast and creating these moments of connection and transmission together. And sometimes that means that it becomes a little bit technically challenging and things go wrong, but that's all part of life. And what I know is that there is so much wisdom, beauty, love, and creativity shared in this circle. My guests, in the order you hear them, are Niharika Sanyal, who is a soul purpose guide and facilitator of work that reclaims the heart, based in India. Her offerings serve to reconnect us to our soul level purpose and awaken to the love of the Shakti within. Formerly, Niharika served as an associate director and senior mentor at Purpose Guides Institute in the USA. She completed a master's in human development and psychology from Harvard. Her work draws on extensive training in intuitive practices, including the Shakti teachings of integral yoga in India and the teachings found in the Western soul-centric pathways of depth psychology and logotherapy. Léa Bourratiere is an author, musician, awakening guide, conscious business consultant, and leader of a newly formed community project called The Sanctuary. Léa has dedicated her life to helping individuals and companies alike refine their expression to reflect the purest essence of who they truly are. It is with great joy that she now curates experiences aimed at bridging the healing world and the art scene, enabling a new future through the rediscovery of the creator self that lives in each and every one of us. Ajay Makhija is exploring pranic living or transitioning to energy chi nutritionally. He is a practitioner and guide of yoga, qigong, breathwork, and somatic movement. Naveen Vasudevan is a student of yoga. Over the last 20 years, he has been engaged with the questions, what does it mean to live meaningfully in today's times? And how may I offer the best of myself to the whole? He is a co-founder of Ritambara and the founder of Aram. His interests include evolutionary leadership, integral psychology, and process work. He is particularly keen on working with young change makers and those interested in bridging spirituality and social change. And he is an Aurovillian. Nikhil Kale embodies the spirit of a modern-day mystic and visionary, blending ancient wisdom with contemporary innovation. As the co-founder and ecosystem architect of Azraya, he pioneers a community that integrates timeless insights with cutting-edge technology to foster growth and collaboration amongst visionaries and change makers. His journey from a profound spiritual awakening to global exploration informs his holistic approach to leadership, design, and technology. Residing in Mexico near San Miguel de Allende, Nikhil's life is a testament to his commitment to creating a harmonious future that respects the delicate balance between personal growth and technological advancement. With his work, he invites us to co-create a world that celebrates the full spectrum of human experience, encouraging a collective leap towards a more enlightened and interconnected existence. Aurora Esmeralda exemplifies resilience, overcoming stage 3 breast cancer and intergenerational trauma. Her life is a testament to the power of raising vibrations and awakening the divine within. As a spiritual practitioner, plant-based nutritionist, somatic master coach, and UCLA-trained philosopher, Aurora Esmeralda integrates these disciplines into a powerful framework for self-mastery and spiritual wellness, focused on bringing the soul back to the CEO and awakening the God within. She empowers leaders to explore their limitless potential. A descendant of Mexico's first female congressman, Aurora champions a legacy of profound transformation, affirming that wealth and well-being are fundamental rights, where separation is dissolved and perceived limits are transcended through accessing creative power and truth. And this conversation will take the form of a circle where you will hear us go once clockwise around the circle as we were sitting, and then once anti-clockwise around the circle to close. In this episode entitled Dancing with the Unseen, an invitation to more aliveness, we explore the question, how do we cultivate our intuition for collective change? We hope that this conversation invites you into a deeper relationship with your own inner compass and your discernment and clarity with which to experience this great turning. And this opens up possibilities in ways that we have never experienced before. Welcome to All That We Are, with me, your host, Amisha Gadiali. On this show, we explore the weave between activism, the sacred, creativity, and regeneration, the spaces where our inner and outer worlds dance. From healing trauma to nature connection, to new technologies to ancient wisdom, it's time for us to move beyond silos and into an integrated way of being. Every one of us has ideas and personal experiences to share that can lead us to a more beautiful future. Despite the challenges we face as a global community or the pressures we meet in our daily lives, when we stop and dare to listen, to ask ourselves the big questions, and to share what we are already doing and envisioning, we create the futures of our wildest dreams. And we begin to embody all that we are becoming, and all that is possible. It is my absolute delight to welcome each of you into this space and onto the All That We Are podcast. We're joined here by 5 Indians with a slice of Australia and the UK, and a Mexican American and a French woman. So here we are in this beautiful constellation. We've been in a really beautiful journey together, very powerful journey. And we're going to be sharing around the theme of discernment, trusting ourselves, and connecting to that source within.
Hi, I'm Niharika. It's a joy and a pleasure to be here on this podcast with you. And we've had quite a journey in the last week together, going through a collective underworld initiation of the soul. This year has begun with a lot of intensity at the collective level and the individual level. And a kind of collective initiation is happening in each of our hearts. And more people all over the world are hearing the call or being shaken awake to the call. And sometimes it feels like a waterfall is falling or a massive wave is crashing down. But the only way to move through it is by climbing it, swimming with it. And riding that wave or getting crushed is the only other option. So thank you for calling us here to speak about how we can move with the currents of the intuition? How can we discern how we are called in these times? Because that's probably the most essential question. The most essential question at the core of it all is how can we become better listeners of life and the mystery, and how can we therefore live like lovers, serving the universe, serving each other, and the expansion of our hearts. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Léa. There's something that has been moving through the collective for eons, which is this unprocessed and recognized amount of suffering that comes from simply having been separated from source. And there's that sense right now that we're all being faced with that recognition that we once were one. We're looking for that passage back to oneness. And in that process, we're being confronted with so many decision points and so many opportunities to rise above and beyond what we've been engineering. And in that opportunity, there's a question that gets raised over and over again, which is a matter of where do I stand in this collective unfolding, and what is my role to play, and what does it look like? And there are no pre-written answers. And what we get to do for each other sometimes looks like madness or reinforcing of the old patterns, but actually, even in the triggering, even in the releasing of old, dense emotions, there is grace. And it's in the trust and the surrendering to that grace that, at least in my own experience, the healing happens, and we get to reclaim more and more of that wholeness. So the trust in the unfolding is, to me, the fine line to walk, and understanding how can we still remain connected to each other in that walking, and not resourcing back to isolation, as has been the case for this collective endeavor for a lot of people within that experience.
Hi, my name is Ajay. I think a nice practical thing to speak about when we speak about intuition is, where does it really come from? I've struggled with this because I'm constantly feel like my mind gives me many different ideas and options. And I keep tending to forget that the intuition kind of comes down from the heart and the body. And so sometimes when I'm confused, and I'm able to catch myself noticing that it's noisy in my head, it's really an invitation to drop down into the heart, maybe even the belly, and to listen, just to listen maybe, and to not need to move so quickly in any direction. The intuition, I think, for me, being that part inside me that knows. And I think everyone has that small voice that knows, or that feeling, or however it manifests. It's just sometimes it's too noisy, maybe inside and outside, to hear it. And maybe it's also a little scary to actually act. But I think it's so worth it to tune in, slow down, cultivate listening, engage courage, and then to act. And I think more and more of us as a collective, as we do that, we change our internal worlds, and slowly but surely the outside world as well.
Hi, my name is Naveen. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. As I listen to what's arising for me now, the themes of simplicity and humility come up. I think to be able to navigate the times we're in today, times of converging crises and new emergences, it's important to be simple in the heart, simple at the heart, to stay humble as well, because it's not really clear what's emerging. I doubt it if anybody truly fully knows what's going to happen. We live in powerful times, time of great danger, time of great opportunity. We're in the middle of an evolutionary crisis, but also an evolutionary opportunity. So it's a time between two worlds. And to navigate these times, it feels like what's important is to have a simple heart and a humble heart. Yeah, walk together with other seekers with a lot of laughter and vulnerability. It's not always easy for me, but the path seems to be one of learning and unlearning, learning to be simple and humble, and not to get ahead of oneself too much. It's a work in progress, and I look forward to walking together with you all. It's been a pleasure meeting you all over the last few days, and I hope this is just the beginning of a lifelong friendship and collaboration together. Thank you.
Hi, it's Nikhil, and it's likely that your intuition led you here today, listening to the All That We Are podcast and dropping into this moment. It's beautiful to witness and acknowledge how our intuition, our capacity to connect to the voice of spirit within, can guide our path, can create opportunities, and can open up such powerful portals of possibility when we choose to listen to that intuition and take action. And it was 100% my intuition that has allowed me to be here with this phenomenal group of beings today and this journey through India, trusting my guidance, trusting the voice within, especially when it was noisy and challenging outside of myself, and leaning in and taking those decisions that felt like a full body yes in my being, which is an indication that guidance is coming from intuition. It feels good in the gut. It feels good in the heart. It feels good in the mind. There's coherence. And when it doesn't feel good in those spaces, well, then it probably is an intuition. It could be some other force, some other thought form that's vying for your attention. And our attention is the most invaluable currency that we have. And right now, there is a war on attention taking place in this world. And it feels so uncertain, dark at times. It feels like there is so much noise and systems that are collapsing and falling. And fundamentally, it is our intuition that allows us to navigate these dark tides with grace and ease and a really powerful discernment. Now, discernment is almost an evolution of the intuition because our discernment allows us to recognize whether a person, a place, a thing, an idea is for us or it isn't for us. And on your journey, it is pivotal that we learn how to cultivate our discernment, to really leverage and express our power of free will to choose what we desire to engage with in our reality. And there are truly infinite possibilities out there. And as this world continues to grow in size and speed up, there's going to be many more choices and many more opportunities to play in this realm. and for us to lead with integrity, to be true to our soul, to be true to our essence and the vision that we have for this life, we must learn not only to tap in to our intuitive capacities, to connect to the guidance of spirit, but also know how to discern and navigate all of the various factors and elements that might show up in your life and learn to stand in your true mastery.
Hola, I'm Aurora. As for Nikhil's incredible delivery right there, the world will continue to get louder and more chaotic, and I find it an incredible opportunity to be alive right now, especially us that have found our way to this podcast, because we know it's been intuition. We know there's been a divine guidance that has led us to this moment in time right now. And it is that same visceral feeling in the body that will continue to guide us. And as the world gets louder and more chaotic and more distorted, we're being not just asked, but it's almost like a command from spirit to close our eyes, our external eyes, and to go inward. Keep going inward. And perhaps you may ask yourself, well, how does intuition and discernment really feel? And that takes practice to intuitively be with, but it really feels like peace. It feels like certainty. It feels like love. If you're ever questioning, am I doing the right thing? Am I going in the right direction? Just invite yourself to drop into your body and to see how it feels, because the truth will always be revealed within your heart, within that peaceful state of being where you can create infinitely from.
What's really alive for me right now is our relationship with control and how much our minds want to control everything and how much that crushes everything that's possible within the divine Leela, the divine play of life, and that experience of trust and flow. And often when we get caught up about getting it right, we find ourselves not listening in just these really subtle ways. I'm sat here in this beautiful circle with these gorgeous beings, and you might not be able to hear it by the time, but there's this noise that comes through the room, through the window. And I knew about this noise, and I'd found a room upstairs that didn't have that noise. And if I tuned into the subtle energy, I felt that that was where we wanted to sit, in a room called perfection. And instead, I chose that we would sit in a room called Earth, because I got in my head about like which ways do noise travel, and I externalized it rather than just feeling like the quality of the room. And actually, the quality of the room was up there. So I'm sat here hearing this like of the window, and I'm like, I knew that deep in my heart. And I share this example because it's so little. And that's what our life is. It's just these very little things that make up a lifetime. These very little moments where we have the choice to listen, to feel, and to trust. And we've been trained so much to analyze and to control. And if we can all learn to really listen to those little flashes of information that we receive, if we can learn that we don't have to get our intuition validated from others,
then more beauty than we can imagine can be created in our lives, in our lifetimes, in our communities, in our systems. And we don't know what all of that is. And that's why it's so important to trust. Dear listeners, this will make you laugh, but just moments ago, the technology stopped working, and we have now moved upstairs into the space of perfection, which says to me that if we don't listen, then the information gets louder and stronger and interrupts our plans until we do listen. And really we can save ourselves all time and needless suffering by listening in the first place when our intuition speaks to us.
And so the question that I'm always left with is like, how do we learn how to trust? How do we know when we're doing the right thing, when we're going in the right direction, when we're making the right decision? And I always go back to feeling, right? The body is such an advanced form of technology. You literally create everything in your reality from your body. And so for me, it's always a simple thing that I always remind myself, and it's, how do I know what the truth is? And it's by the way it feels. When you drop into your body, you will know if it feels like ease, like flow, like joy. That's the direction that your higher self is guiding you towards. But if it feels like pain, suffering, stress, difficulty, not good, right? There's pain there. You're not going in the right direction. And that's not to avoid, feeling the pain, because obviously there's a time and space for everything, specifically in our shadow work and really being with our body and feeling what's there. But insofar as making decisions, the trust aspect of, am I going in the right way? It's just as simple as just tapping into the body, dropping from the mind, and really being with the internal guidance that never, ever, ever steers you wrong. Well, from personal experience, someone that's been completely obsessed with the darkness and what has been unfolding within humanity for the last couple of decades, but it's been going on for centuries. For me, I see what's happening right now, and there is an ushering in of a false awakening. And so it's very dangerous because humanity is being shown and almost bombarded with so much information and so much fragmentation that's not truth, but is being displayed as truth. And so that creates a lot of noise for the individual, right? It makes it very difficult to really tap in and connect to your truth. And so my biggest advice would be shut everything off, disconnect from everything that is taking and harvesting your energy, specifically in the realm of entertainment and music and news, anything that's coming out of the black box. Tune it out, connect to nature, cultivate your discernment. And the only way you're going to do that is by shutting out all the noise that is fighting for your attention, because your attention is what gives life to all of your creations. And so coming back into the stillness, into the silence, into nature, into being with your soul, so that you can actually get to know who you truly are and start cultivating that inner relationship that is going to guide you and take care of you and take you to places that you could have even never imagined, with beings that are your family, that are your tribe, and that are also moving in the same direction that your soul desires. For anyone that is curious, interested in dropping in deeper into any of these topics, you can find me at auroraesmeralda.com and on Instagram at Transformation of Self.
So it's really beautiful to hear from everyone their experiences of working or dancing with their intuition and discernment, and this rising consciousness that is awakening on the planet, and with that, the darkness that's revealing itself. And it's really fascinating to me how this darkness that is showing itself has for the most part been unseen or been behind the curtains. And now, as the frequency on this planet is elevating and accelerating in a profound way, whatever has been under the surface, it has to reveal itself, it has to be seen, because we're in a realm of frequency. And for the most part, it can be quite intimidating, quite scary to face off with those aspects of yourself that, for the most part, you can't even see. Those shadows that manifest in your life as triggers, as challenges, as pain, as sufferings, as karmic residue that reverberates through different timelines. Most individuals aren't equipped to deal or dance with the unseen, as the mind serves as a protection mechanism to keep us feel safe. But if we are to survive and thrive during these times as individuals and as a collective, we must become masterful at leaning into the darkness, peering into the edges, looking beyond the threshold, and beginning to cultivate a relationship with those unseen aspects of ourself, those unseen aspects of our psyche, and begin to illuminate them with our attention, with our awareness, with compassion, with love, and with discernment, not with judgment. Because even the darkest aspects of our soul and our collective soul, on the highest level, are reflections of our own heart, albeit those aspects have been unintegrated and disconnected from our source. If we choose not to dive deep into the waters and begin to shine light onto those dark aspects of ourselves, then we live a surface level existence. We are not only light, we are darkness. We are not only masculine, we are feminine. There is not only day, there is night. And it is when we accept and integrate those aspects and learn to dance with the rhythms of creation, then we're able to liberate ourselves from the limited perspective and constructs of the mind and of the ego, and we're able to tap into the intelligence of our heart. That intelligence of our heart is the source of our intuition. My heart beats as your heart. We have one collective heart of the universal soul, and it's that rhythm that gives us life. And when we project outside of ourselves into the illusionary world, and we can only see the surface level, then we have absolutely disconnected our connection to that unseen part of ourselves that we can only feel when we're open, when we're receptive. And this is the relationship that we're being asked to cultivate during this time. Our relationship with the unseen parts of ourselves, the relationship with the unseen parts of our world, the voices that don't get airtime. It's time to illuminate and bring forth those aspects of ourselves that have been hiding in the darkness and bring them to the light so that we can truly be free from the prisons that we've created for ourselves. And this is the ultimate pathway to liberation. It's recognizing that you, me, we are creating all of this, all of the joy, all of the light, and all of the darkness, all of the contraction. And as a collective human family, we get to choose a new path. And it all starts with us choosing ourselves, learning to listen to our heart, and remembering who we are beyond the stories that we tell ourselves. And if you'd like to go deeper and explore further, you can visit my website at nikhilkale.com. Thank you.
Wow, that was quite moving. I'd like to build on what Aurora and Nikhil have shared. To navigate these times and embrace, engage with, and embrace our own darkness is probably the work we're called to do. And the more we do that, the more joy flows through us, and so does wisdom and light. But to embrace or to engage with our own difficult sides, our own shadow sides, our own hidden parts is easier said than done. It requires a lot of courage, and we often can't do it alone. At least that's been my experience. We need the support of community in that process. And I'd also like to highlight the importance of prayer here. That's something that's been of very great value to me. Without prayer, I doubt it if we can truly meet our most difficult parts. And when we pray, we reach out to, we seek the help of an intelligence far greater than us, a love that's not really understandable, but engulfs us fully and constantly. And through its infinite compassion, we find our way. So what I'd like to offer friends on the path and to myself as a reminder is to never let go of prayer as we undertake this beautiful adventure of deepening ourselves and creating a more beautiful world and a way of human life on this planet. Experiment and adventure called Aurora. That's the community that I'm a part of. And if you'd like to learn more about us, know more about us, you're invited to check out auroville.org.in, or you can just Google Auroville and you will have all the information that you need.
Thank you for tuning in. If you are enjoying this episode, do join our membership. For a small contribution, you can be part of our community where we deepen the conversation and offer spaces of learning and embodiment. As a member, you are a patron supporting the making of this show, keeping the episodes full length, free and accessible for all. And you receive a number of benefits such as monthly soul space, going deeper sessions, access to our library of workshops, and discounts on all our online and in-person experiences. Our membership is what makes us able to make this show and stay advertising free in a world that is always trying to sell us stuff we don't need. Head to allthatweare.org/membership to find out more and join today.
What is alive in me right now, I feel, is the other side of the story. In some ways, I feel like we've spoken about a lot of serious stuff, which has its place for sure. But just to throw into the mix joy and lightness, I think, and finding every moment that we can to tune here as well. Because I mean, the way that I see the world is there's kind of a matrix energetic grid. And so there's so much darkness that sometimes it's easy to get caught up in being guilty for feeling good. And that kind of, I mean, yes, it looks like it's true, but it also takes away, I think, our power of being joyful, being light, or providing the counterbalance to all that darkness. You know, and actually, maybe we think that by feeling bad or feeling responsible, and I've been there, right? And I also, that part is alive in me as it should be. But I also try to really counterbalance that with finding a pure frequency of joy, of lightness, of gratitude, generosity, humbleness, kindness. It's way more accessible to us than we actually engage with the things that provide us energy. And so, yeah, like building on what these amazing humans besides me have said, it's great to be serious, and it's time to be super serious about being as joyful as you possibly can. And a great access point for me has been finding the inner child within myself and playing, and maybe even hanging out with kids and being around their energy. Because really, there's magic there. And we need a bit of magic right now. And it's fun as well. Being a kid is fun. Being magical is fun. Yeah, we need a fun revolution. That's what I feel was alive for me. Yeah.
I'm grateful for those last few words. I'm feeling all the emotions, all the intensity around the churning that's happening. And it's such a vast scale of emotions. And on one end, there's that giggling that's been with me ever before the beginning of our journey together. And I can't explain it, but it's just that sort of bubble of light that keeps bursting. And I'm finally breathing again for the first time. And I feel that there is this space that's available for us to lean into where we get to be children again. And the innocence that comes with that, and the rekindling of connections with people where we get to relate no longer from this wounded, separate place within ourselves, but truly from just that curious child that is here to experience the world and truly create magical adventures out of a piece of wood and stone and its imagination. And at the same time, I'm also acknowledging the grieving and the death of the old world and the fact that we got so caught up in it that we actually forgot all about the child. And there's some recognition of that needs to happen as well. And so standing literally on the verge of the birth of a new world, I'm feeling just as much the death of the old one as much as the expansion and the opening of this new reality. And it feels like I'm being stretched beyond measure, stretched beyond my own limits. My heart is opening, my throat is going through this weird thing of like my voice is just breaking apart, and at the same time there's just this sense of hope that's permeating my entire field. And I hear each and every one of our voices coming at this from different lenses, different perspectives, and there's such beauty in being able to witness each other in the journeys that actually took us here to this very instant in time where we get to redefine what our realities will look like moving forward. And to hold space for that, to hold space for the choices that we made out of guidance, out of trust in our own journeys, out of trust in our own capacities to meet ourselves a little bit more each time a challenge was presented to us. And what I'm really inviting forth right now is, can we hold that space for each other to the last drop of pain has been acknowledged, until every little bit of trauma has been seen and heard and processed, because that's why we're here. And we don't get to move forward until every single human being has had that experience of being fully seen in the journey that they've had. And if there's something that I've been so grateful for in this container, although it has its challenges and we're still discovering each other and we're still learning with each other. I mean, this is mastery, it's a process. We have stayed committed to holding that space for each other, even when it pushed our limits to the max. And that's where my heart is in that central space, which each and every one of you guys, I'm so grateful that we got to embark on this journey together. And I hope that we get to hold that space, not just for ourselves, but for our communities as well as we return home, wherever home is. I've come to understand that I used to say, home is where my freedom is, but now freedom is my home. And that's what I wish for every single human being on this planet, for them to be free, for them to remember they're a child and that they get to play. My name is Léa Bourratiere, and I'm very happy to explore all of this unfolding with anyone who feels the call to reach out. You can find me on www.leabourratiere.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you for all of the wisdom shared in this circle. I'm finding myself circling back to how Amisha started us off when we moved from the earth room to the perfection room, with the gentle reminder that sometimes when we don't follow our discernment, the universe will send us a gentle nudge to send us back on the right track, or the most aligned track. Because at the end of the day, each track can also be right. It might just be longer. if we go off the path for a while. And I remember in my own life, 2 such strong wake-up calls when I went off track. One was a depression that wove into my mental, emotional being 12 years ago, opening me up to the spiritual world because of sheer desperation to know myself. And the second was the breakdown of a significant relationship 3 years ago, which came as another brick from the universe saying, hey, it's time, come with me. And when that second brick came 3 years ago, I knelt down again for the second time. And I prayed to the Divine Mother, saying, please, I am all yours, I surrender to you. Please send me signs that I can follow, clear signs, not bricks. Please teach me how to be your good student so that I can learn how to follow your signs. And I will follow. I will try my best, and as sincerely and humbly as I can, I will try to follow you. But please send me those signs, and I don't want bricks again. I will do my best to be as sincere. And so I think ever since that ardent prayer 3 years ago, my intention as a student of the Divine Mother is to remember that language in which she's speaking to me all the time. And I think many of the people in this room have shared about how she, or the universe, the spirit, can speak to us and guide us through our body's wisdom. We can listen to how our body feels in response to what's out there. Is it in resonance? Is it filling me with light and expansion and joy? Or is it heavy, contracting, and bringing me closer to fear? And for me, one of the most helpful ways of conversing with the universe has always been also through the language of signs and symbols. So whenever I'm lost, I take my question out in the forest. I make a sincere prayer or an invocation asking for help. I call on the protection, and then I take a walk and listen out, look out for any signs and symbols that find me on the way. Because the universe, the spirit, speaks to me in a symbolic, metaphorical, mythical language. And I find that the more I kind of open my capacity to listen to that imagistic language, it brings me closer and closer to the image, the living image, seated in the center of my own heart. You know, Sri Aurobindo writes about this in Savitri, that there's a living image seated in the heart for each one of us. You can think of it as what the depth psychologists call the mythopoetic identity that lives in the center of the heart. And that contains the code, the seed of who we are and why we have taken this incarnation in this life. And I like to, in particular, watch out for signs and symbols that repeat themselves. Sometimes when they come in threes very rapidly, it's often a sign to kind of pay attention. At the same time, it's equally important maybe to stay connected to the inner resonance, because signs can always come from outside, and sometimes we don't know who or what force is sending them. So for me, the element of prayer and protection is the most important aspect. The intention, setting that intention, the sankalpa, and then going out to have that conversation so that we know that we are being guided by the highest forces of love and light. And I had a recent, maybe I'll share this little vision because it feels relevant for the collective, perhaps. This image of goddess Ambika had been coming to me the last few months, and she had these big, fierce eyes. And I kind of connected with this image and asked her, what do you see? Can you show me what you see? And she showed me this kind of vision of the world, which was initially very apocalyptic and frightening. There was a big wave crashing down on the earth, and I was horrified that she was showing me this. And then the moment she showed me this huge wave crashing down, she shifted the scene and she showed me a circle of people gathered around a vase out on the land. And there was a blue beam of light coming down to the central vase. And the moment this light beam was anchored in the earth and in the circle of people gathered in prayer and ceremony, there was a huge wave of light that kind of went out from the circle and pushed the waves back. The waves that were coming were pushed back by this light. And I think what she's showing is there's still a choice point that each of us has individually and collectively to make that choice. Either to move towards destruction, to give in to the forces of fear and destruction, or to anchor more light in our bodies, to anchor more light in our communities, and potentially there is still hope for this collective energy to shift towards the light. And a few days after I saw this vision, there was also a Kogi prophecy from the Colombian tribe that said something very similar. They channeled a message from the Divine Mother saying that we have some time to turn things around. It can either go this way or that. And she says pretty much the same thing. So I think that choice point is where discernment, intuition comes in. Do we choose to go with fear or love? Do we keep our heart open or closed? To which force do I surrender? Because at every point we are surrendering to something. So which force is it that I am surrendering to? Thank you. And if you wish to go a little deeper in that exploration of the language of intuition, you can find me on Instagram as Way of the Heart. I am a soul purpose guide and facilitator of work that reclaims the heart. Thank you.
We are at this incredible moment in time where we have the opportunity to really recognize and honor the divine wisdom that lives in us. It's not a question anymore of, is intuition real or what's really happening? It's being with what is, playing our part in this beautiful wider tapestry and knowing that we have the power to influence the future in ways that are golden. There's been so much in the past ways where we become students in a way of giving our power away to something. And this is a time of us saying, I know, I've always known. It's there, it's alive in me. And doing it with humility and grace so we don't fall into narcissism or power over. And knowing that sometimes we might land a little bit in that direction. And sometimes we might make ourselves so small that that spark can't be felt in us. And so if we're able to live in a way where we honor and tend to that beautiful fire inside of us and those beautiful waters, the earth, the air, the ether, it's all there within us. If we can tend to these aspects of us and create that space of harmony. And that space of harmony isn't the space where everything's always easy and flowing and sweet. They're strong elements. And sometimes it rains so hard, you get drenched. And sometimes the fire burns so fast, it takes everything with it in its wake. Learning that we can hold big, intense waves of energy. And within that, we can always come back to this space of center, of knowing, of love. One of the things in life that I feel is just so important and so of these times is to surround ourselves with people and places that open up the possibility within us, that see the possibility within us, that speak to the possibility in us. To surround ourselves with people that have courageously walked through fires, that have felt that they have drowned in the ocean, that have been blown away to faraway lands, that have felt themselves compost in the earth, that have traveled far into space, that are unafraid of the vastness of what we are, of all that we are, of all that we can be, and of all that is possible. It is such a deep honor to sit in a circle here with each of you, Aurora, Nikhil, Naveen, Ajay, Léa, Niharika. And to know that as we do this, we give space for us to become more alive, and that those of you that are choosing to be with us, that this is an invitation for more aliveness to you. There is so much in this modern world that wants to distract us and squash us and make us the walking dead, and not even in the fun way. And so allowing ourselves to live in aliveness and taking every opportunity to share that aliveness with everyone that you come into contact with. Humans, animals, trees, plants, all of it. Thank you.
That worked.
Find people you can get weird with.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode and it has sparked some inspiration and creativity in you. As always, you can find links to everything we mention in this episode, download our book, and discover so much more over on allthatweare.org. We give space to our guests to share their perspective without debating it or fact-checking, as this approach allows for deep, unedited conversations from the heart. We trust your discernment and wisdom to take what is useful and challenge what isn't in your own understanding. We offer spaces for discussion and integration in our membership community, which we would love for you to join. We don't believe in selling you things you don't need through this podcast, and so it's made possible by you, our beautiful community. If you loved this and would like to connect more deeply with us, please join our membership. You choose what you contribute based on our sliding scale, and you become a patron whose support makes this podcast happen, as well as receiving access to a library of many resources and invitations to nourishing events. Please also hit subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen so others can find us. This podcast is made by an all-female global team. Me, Amisha Gadiali, producer and host, Anna Greta Folderbach, who crafts the words that accompany each episode, and Mary Chan, who edits the sound so skillfully. All That We Are celebrates all that we are already and the untapped potential that lives inside us. It invites the full power of the more than human world, nature, the unseen, our ancestors, and our future generations. It reminds us that we never exist in silo, through borders, timelines, or polarity, that in each and every moment, all that we are is here.